Welcome to Goblin-Inc, I'm Ace of Spades, and today we'll be taking a look at Moxxy's ShredSplosion. It's a spin-off of Bulwark, similar to my original Max Life version from pre-season. We're gonna evaluate Moxxy's build in depth and dig through every one of his choices to see if we can find anything to improve. Let's first discuss the pros and cons of the build. There are few key differences between my Bulwark build and ShredSplosion. The first one being that ShredSplosion doesn't use current stuff. This is significant as current stuff's unique ability is to double cast basic skills, which we normally use as a mean to proc our Keystone and Nature's Fury and activate our symbiotic aspect with it, which is what causing Bulwark to reset at double the rate. Instead, ShredSplosion will use Shred to reset the cooldown of Bulwark at normal rate. This is done with the use of the aspect Nature Savagery, which allows us to activate Nature's Fury with shapeshifting skills. But this isn't just a net loss. Not having to use current stuff means being able to use offhand and a main hand weapon, which have better stats than Crone, but also allows us to have one extra aspect which we can use to compensate further for not having current stuff. The second key difference is that ShredSplosion, just like the original pre-season Bulwark build, it's a max life build, rather than a low life build. If you do not know what low life is, are builds which play at below 35% health, to abuse the 80% plus the are injured modifier you can obtain. This is because Shred heals with the passive Enhanced Shred. This would consistently throw us out of low life, meaning our build is inherently now less tanky, but we gain mobility, as Shred will constantly allow us to move while DPSing. Consider that being less tanky isn't the worst thing, since we are still tankier than things like Wolfnado, which is tankier than pretty much any build in the game, besides Bulwark builds anyway. So on top of that, you don't have to bother with low life mechanics, which a lot of people don't like to deal with. So there is upsides to it for sure. Let's now evaluate Moxxy's build in depth. Okay, I left down below a link to Moxxy's YouTube. I like Moxxy more than a lot of content creators. He makes his own stuff. I had some problems in the past with, like, for example, Rob, where like he came, take a link from my Twitch, post it as a comment on his Twitch, my same link, copy my Paragon board point by point, put it on his own website. But Moxxy makes his own builds, they're pretty good. And if he wants something, he will say, yo Ace, can I use a clip from this video? And you know, yeah, sure, of course, why not? Seems like a good guy, don't really talk with him a lot, but his content is good. He seems like a decent guy. I like Moxxy. That's my overall Moxxy review. The build, I like the build. I'll tell you what though, of course, is to be improved. I checked a little bit already, so immediately here, the Paragon board, there will be a lot to change, most of it for a lot of reasons. If I make my link here, and I can change things, I can just do this, I've saved 1 point. Stuff like that, but also more overall larger differences in how to approach the game. As one thing I don't like, well, not really, it's a bad way to say it. The biggest complaint, not even, people want the build to be mana sufficient. People don't want that you use Shred a couple of times and then you have to use Stormstrike. People would like that you press Shred and then Shred and then Shred and then Shred. So Moxxy is aware that Shred is an expensive skill and he generates resources. I think he had, he has Reclamation, he has Spirit on Kill pretty much, but not a great way to go about it. He's using Spirit cost reduction on Amulet and on Boots to compensate from, you know, Shred being an expensive skill. What can we do? Well, what we can do is we're gonna be using Lust from Carnage. Last for Carnage, we restore 2 spirit per critical strike. That's a lot. That is gonna be part of the build. On top of that, we can do more. So one thing that is not mandatory, but is really good. If you wanna see up here, I will show you now a clip. Me on Lilith, you can see my resource generation, even on single target, doesn't go down that much. Plenty of time to kill a boss during Cataclysm in T1 of the dungeon without having a problem on any single target mob in dungeon, without having to use Storm Strike. I'm doing that because I have Tempest Roar, and now Cataclysm and Hurricane generate resources. Do you need Tempest Roar? Not really, honestly. You just can use a couple more Storm Strike on single target. But with Tempest Roar, you pretty much brain dead, just spam Shred, which is nice. Also, on the off end, resource generation is gonna be a bit more efficient than spirit cost, as more spirit cost reduction is multiplicative, and you don't get full benefit. Meanwhile, resource generation is gonna be additive, and you get full benefit from it a little bit better. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Last for Carnage. We're gonna change more Paragon stuff. We like Earth and Devastation. It's a good board, but I don't like Earth and Devastation. Recently, we've been taking these off our builds. I've also taken off Crushed on first in my builds. And yeah, I mean, this is the same thing. It's conditional damage. I've also taken off Heightened Malice first. Eventually, I've removed pretty much any conditional damage modifier that is not active all the time, because that's not active on bosses till they are staggered. And honestly, it's better to have more consistent damage. He's using Inner Beast. He's taking Inner Beast, of course. It's more spirit cost reduction. We're gonna be having to take armor, because armor is too strong not to take, of course. And he's using Territorial and Heightened Malice. Not very efficient. Here, something like Fang and Claw to get more value out of the damage reduction to poison enemies would be better. So we're gonna be doing that for sure. Maybe take this rare node off, which is not great. He's using Spirit in Inner Beast. Not very good. Dexterity in Inner Beast, not the best. Better to use something like Protector, which can give us more value out of armor, because it increases the value of rare nodes. And here, we can do better than Ancestral Guidance. It's a lot of points. We can have more glyphs. I do the same for my Paragon boards. They change a lot and they improve. Doesn't mean that it doesn't make good builds. I think it's a good build. I think that it's the nature of the game that as time passes and you learn more things about the game, you find things that can be improved. But his builds are overall pretty good. He's using Thunderstruck as a 5th board, meaning that he's not activating neither Hubris, so he's losing 4% damage reduction. But because he's using Shapeshifter, I think this probably saw it from me. I like Shapeshifter a lot in Thunderstruck and in Bulwark builds. You don't get the 125% bonus from the double Hubris effect. Also, you will not get the extra critical strike damage because they are not active. You want Thunderstruck to be your 4th board if you want to get those things. So yeah, we're gonna add some boards, change some glyphs, change a lot about this. But the idea of the build is good. I like it. I like the Night Howler aspect. I also have it in my version. This is the extra aspect that you're gonna have, because again, we can have 2 extra aspects. One is gonna be Savagery, and the extra one is Night Howler, which will help us generate more resources, because the more crit, more resources. Really nice. So now let's go over my version, what I did with his build. Okay, so I guess you guys wanna see the changes I made to the Paragon board. So I ended up having how many? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 glyphs in this build as well. I was gonna do 6, but somehow I was able to fit all of them. So on the first one, we have to keep Exploit. I don't really like Exploit here anymore. I would prefer Werewolf, but because we don't have a way to generate vulnerability besides Cataclysm, which is great for bosses, but Exploit really keeps the vulnerability up for the time necessary in normal scenarios. Here in Inner Beast, as I promised, I use Protector. I like how the bonus to rare nodes allows us to get more armor. Then I add even more armor because armor is broken. 100 armor near cap is over 5% damage reduction. Then for our third and fourth board, we like Earth and Devastation, it's critical strike damage. We like to use Undaunted here, very nice. And I like to have here, like I said, I was gonna do Shapeshifter, bonus to rare nodes, get the bonus, and as you can see, in total now you have 18% damage reduction from vulnerable enemies instead of the 4% we had before. We also got the critical strike damage bonus, which is nice. Here, as I promised, again, Fang and Claw in Heightened Malice, because we got the R reduction from Poison. It gets buffed by the Glyph, which has 150% bonus to magic nodes. Here we have Earth and Sky on Tendrils. Very easy to get 40 willpower here. Now, I do this because the build is very hungry for more max life. I like that. Nature Magic skill damage is really nice. The 10% damage to close target is nice. I also love to have here my last board, which honestly, you should be taking this pretty early. So I would probably do 1, 2, 3, 4 if you're leveling. And I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 otherwise, because you really want to have Lust for Carnage when you play the build, because otherwise you suck not having mana. So I did this. A classic move is the Werewolf Glyph in the Lust for Carnage. Very efficient, very fast to get the willpower here, and you get to Lust for Carnage with very few points. Only, as you can see, 4 or 5 points to reach that. Pretty much nothing. Very, very good. And that's for the Paragon board. Now we do boons and talents. I'm using Come Before the Storm because I like my Cataclysm. This is Italy, so you can, yeah, that's a Vespa, it's Italy. We have Bolster for Fortify. And Iron Feather for maximum life, very strong. You like health. Swooping attacks, attack speed, but you can also use Crit Chance for more mana regeneration. And even take off Iron Feather for Crit Chance if you don't feel like you're dying. Of course, Wariness, there's really nothing else to take. For the talents, they're gonna be fairly simple. Nature's Fury, you must have that. You take the DR from Heightened Senses. You take Cataclysm. Honestly, the vulnerability here, I would probably take that. We can do something to change this. I like it. Take a point off anywhere. Maybe even damage to take this. It's not bad. Because the vulnerability on bosses could be important in the future. For now, I'm killing bosses so fast, I don't need the vulnerability up from this. It's just okay to have it up from simply using... do I have a point in Storm Strike? Fuck that. Take that off. Put it here. Problem solved. Now we have vulnerability up on longer fights. We have Defiance, it's damage. We have Natural Disaster, is damage. We take, of course, Venom. We take Neurotoxin and Toxic Claws so that we can poison everything with Shred. Hurricane, of course, damage reduction. We take more damage from Stone Guard. And, of course, Endless Tempest, really important. As Cataclysm produces resources for us, we like to have the high upkeep of Hurricane as well. We like Blood Howl with attack speed. The healing is nice because your shield goes down. This is not a Bulwark low life build where the shield never goes down. Max ranks on Earth and Bulwark. Of course, innate Earth and Bulwark for damage. I like the move speed. I like Predatory Instinct as crit chance is OP as fuck. And only one rank in Shred. Shred does not do damage. We just need to get to Primal Shred so that Shred help us jump around. And we just spam this ability to get resets. It's not part of the damage. It just enabling the damage from Bulwark to go off and reset the cooldown. Only 2 points in Storm Strike as we don't use this ability often. And vulnerability is better honestly off applied with Cataclysm in my opinion. but you can take this off and apply it with Storm Strike if you like it. Okay, now we have aspect gear. I don't have great gear for the build, especially my one end, main end and off end aren't great. As you can see, healing and cooldown reduction, you don't need them. Anything DR related is best. Then on my weapon, core skill damage doesn't do anything. You want to have anything additive there, or will if you want. That's really good. But damage to poison enemies, damage to slowed enemies, it's fine. For the boots, you want to have total armor while werewolf, you want to have movement speed and damage reduction while injured. It's really good. I have dodge because I'm using my gloves with attack speed after dodge, not necessary. You can have critical strike damage here instead to earth skills and not have dodge. Pants, we are using DR injured and a bunch of DR. I really like DR fortified because it's unconditional, you always have that up. For my gloves, again, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, and all stats or, you know, attack speed after dodge is really good. My chest, a bunch of DR plus Bulwark ranks and barrier generation. For my helm, Tempest Roar is good. If you don't have it, use a helm with max life, armor, and barrier generation. Basic skill attack speed, you can have that, but it's not gonna really be that useful. For Amulet, I like Rankstone Venom, and I really like movement speed. If you don't have that, more DR is always the way to go. Spirit cost reduction is not necessary, but it's good if you can have that, it's fine. It will be even less time to use Storm Strike. My rings, you really want to have this. You want to have crit damage, crit chance, barrier generation, and vulnerability on both of them. And if you don't have vulnerability on them or you don't have critical strike damage, that's no big deal. Make sure you have crit chance, make sure you have barrier generation though. For gems, green gems, diamonds, the sack, the barber heart, 2 seconds or longer. 2 seconds is best. Damage reduction, of course, use that. People say it doesn't work, it does. And for aspects, I have Savagery, of course, so that you can use Shred to reset Bulwark. Core skill gives you attack speed. Instead of having basic skill attack speed, which this one you don't want it. You want something like Crush Stone, like Moxxy was using. But honestly, in my opinion, something like Subterranean, which is 20% unconditional damage for earth skills, damage to poison enemies, you can always poison. That's better in my opinion. On boots, Unstoppable. On chest, so on legs, basic skill grant damage reduction. On the gloves, I have Blood Owl for crit chance. On my chest, I have Disobedience. And we don't have the werewolf damage reduction on the helm because I have Tempest Roar. But you can have it instead on different helm if you don't have Tempest Roar. With the damage reduction while werewolf form, now I have Disobedience on my helm, don't mind that. But on my helm I would have barrier generation, armor, max life. Those are really the only 3 stats you wanna have. Basic skill attack speed is an insanely good stat, but we don't really use basic skills a lot. On the amulet you must have Nature's Fury. On the rings, like I said, Subterranean and wow, Natural's Balance. Fucking amazing. Not only it's 45% multiplier for earth skills crit damage, but also 12% critical strike chance for werewolf skills. Meaning that Hurricane, Cataclysm, Shred, and even Storm Strike, 12% more crit chance, meaning we get more Lust for Carnage procs, more resources generated. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And go and give a like and subscribe to Moxxy. See you on the next one.